Okay, hello class again. What I want to do in this video is demonstrate how to create a frequency distribution table. And what I have up here is a data set. This is raw data like I talked about in the video, and now I've got to make some sense of this data. And the first step I'd like to do is I would like to create what's called a stem and leaf distribution. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a stem and I'm going to have a leaf. So the first thing I need to do is find my lowest numbers. So it looks like I've got a number of 33, so 3 is going to be my stem, and then I can use the second digit of 3 as my leaf. So I'll cross that one out and I'll look for another 3, and I've got 35. And I'll look through the data, and that looks like the only 30s I have here. So I've got 33 and then 35. So I'll go up to the 40s. I can see that I have several 40s here, so I'll look for the lowest value of 40. And I've got a 45, it looks like I've got a 44, and that looks like about it. So I'll go with my 44, and I got a 45, cross that one off. I've got a 49, and that looks about like it. Now I'll go to my 50s. So I've got a 50, I've got a 51, and I've got some 55s. Looks like I've got 3 55s. I'll start with this one, 55, 55, and 55. I'll look for other values of 50, and it looks like I've got a 58. So I'll cross off my 58, and then I'll jump to my 60s. So I've got a 6 as my stem, and then I'm going to go on and find all my 60 values. So I got a 6, 0. It looks like I got a 62 here, 65s. And so it looks like I'll start off with my 62, cross that off, and I'll look for, whoops, I missed one. I have a 61. And since I've already crossed off my 62, and I'll look for other values of 60, I have a 65, 65, 65, and I believe I have one more, 68. So I believe I got all of the 60s covered. So now I'm going to jump down to the 70s, and I'll pick out all the 70 values that I have. There's a 72, so 72, 73, 74, 76, 78. That looks like about it. We'll jump to my 80s. So I've got an 80, and an 83. I believe that's it. And I'll jump to the 90s. So I got a 92. I've got a 95. And that looks like about it. So now I'm going to jump to my 100s. So I'll put a 10 down, and I've got a 104. I've got a 102 over here. So I got 10, and then my 2 is going to be my leaf, 104, and 106. And that looks like about the only scores I've got from 100 to 109. So now I'm going to jump to the 110s. digits above 110. So looks like I've got a 112, so I'll put down 11. So I've got 112, so 11 will be my stem, 2 will be my leaf. So I can cross that one off. And it looks like I've got a 122. So my 12 will be my stem, and my 2 will be my leaf. I believe I've gotten all of the data covered. One way to make for sure is to count the data. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. So I will have an N of 32. Now I want to make sure that I got all those values in my stem and leaf. I will count these up too. So I'll just count the values on the right side of the stem, which will be my leaf. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. So I match. So good, I'm off to a good start now. The next thing I need to do, I need to find my range. Well, the range is made up by finding the highest number and the lowest number. Well, if I have my stem and leaf diagram, I can find those values extremely easily. I've got 122 as my high number, and I've got 33 as my low number. So I'll take my high minus my low, and that will determine what the range is. Forgot my calculator, so I'll have to use my phone. So the range on this particular data set is 122 subtracted by 33, and I got a range of 89. So the next thing I want to find out is what my mode is. That's interesting. So mode, that is the most often occurring number in a data set. So I can tell that pretty easily. I've got 1, 2, 3 55s, and I've got 1, 2, 3 65s. So I'm going to have two modes here, and I don't have any other number that is going to equal or surpass that. So I've got what's called a bimodal distribution. I've got two modes, and my modes are 55 and 65. Well, the next thing I might want to find out is what my median is. What is right in the middle? Well, if I have 32 data points, then I've got an even number. So I've got 16 numbers to the left of the mean, and I've got 16 numbers to the right of the mean, the average. So I need to find a value that's right in the middle of that. So basically what I'll have to do is count 16 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And there will be 16 values to the left of that. So basically how I find my median is take 65 and add 65 to it, find the sum of that, and divide it by 2, which will basically be 65. So my median is equal to 65. So now I'm actually making some sense of this data. Now, if I turn this data onto a horizontal axis, I would be able to see the shape of the distribution, and it would tell me a lot about what the data is trying to tell me. So what I want to do now is I want to create what's called a frequency table distribution. The first thing I got to know is I got to know about classes and class width. Well, first thing I need to figure out is how do I determine how many classes or categories I will have in my distribution table, excuse me. Well, I'll do something called 2 to the kth power. And basically what that is I'm going to multiply 2 until I have a value that is greater than 32. So 2 to the kth power is equal to a value that is greater than 32. So if I were to calculate that on my phone, I would need to come up with a number that's greater than 32 by multiplying 2 times itself. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 64, which would be a number greater than 32. So if I used a 2 to the kth power of 6, I would have a number that's greater than that. So let me check my math again. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So I will use a 2 to the kth power, and 6 is going to be my magic number. And that will, 2 to the 6th power is equal to 64, and that is greater than 32. So I will have 6 different categories in my frequency distribution table. So the next thing I have to do is I have to find the width of my classes. And how I do that is I take the range, which is 89, and I will divide that by how many classes I have, which is 6. And I found out how many classes I needed by computing k, or 2 to the kth power, and my value of that had to be larger than the number of observations. So it is 6. So when I divide 89 by 6, I get 14.833. Now, when I have a value, if I have a value that has a decimal behind it, I always round up. So I'm going to round this value up to 15. So 15 will be my class width size. Now I'm going to have to erase some of this stuff so I can make the table. So I need to know my classes equal to 6, class width is equal to 15. So now I'm going to erase, and I'm going to construct. Well, I know that my first value is my low value. So I'm going to have what's called a lower class limit. Lower class limit. I'm going to start with 33. So I know that my class width is 15, so all I have to do is add 15 to that low value. And that's going to give me a value of 33 plus 15 is equal to 48. 48 plus 15 is equal to 63. 63 plus 15 is equal to 78. 78 plus 15 is equal to 93. 93 plus 15 is equal to 108. Okay, I've got my lower class limits by using my class width. And I have 6 classes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I need to find my upper class limit. So if I have 48, my upper class limit has to be 47, because it's a value that is one digit less than 48. So now I can construct that by adding 15 to each class. So 47 plus 15 47 plus 15 is equal to 62. And you can see that is one digit less than 63. So I can just come here with 78 and do 77. 93, I'll do 92. 108, I'll do 107. Now to find that last class limit, the upper class, I'll take 107 plus 15. That gives me a value of 122. Now, as you can see, my upper class limit caught my highest number of 122. So I have to have enough classes to catch all of my data. And that's the reason I do 2 to the kth power. Now, the next thing I need to find is what's called an upper class boundary, so I don't have gaps in my data. So I have an upper class boundary. We'll just call it UCB. And then if I have a UCB, I need an LCB. And that's a lower class boundary. All right. So I need a value that's in between 47 and 48. So that value is going to be 47.5. Now I don't have gaps in my data because my lower class boundary over here is going to be 47.5. So now this one's going to be 62.5. 62.5. 77.5. 77.5. 92.5. 92.5. 107.5. And 107.5. All I have to do is to find my last value, add 15 to 107.5, and I'll get a value of 122.5. So now I'm almost finished with this thing. Remember the italicized lower class f? Well, that value is what I'm going to be using to find my frequency. So I'm going to go back to my stem and leaf diagram, and I'm going to find out how many times the numbers occurred within each class. So my lower class limit is 48, or I'm